concern in the skies outside New York City tonight. The drone mystery over New Jersey, seen flying near President-elect Trump's Bedminster golf course and near a military base. The FAA now taking action. And here's Aaron Katursky.
We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. Now, is it just me, or are we seeing quite a few news stories that really make no sense whatsoever? We really do not know what is real, what is being manufactured, what's a distraction just to keep our attention, and I'm going to go more in depth about this on Sunday, but I really want to talk about these drones that are seen over New York, Air Force bases, and so forth, because there has been another interesting news story that has recently come out. So for those that are not aware, there are massive drones that are seen flying in the skies of New Jersey, and they are not operating like your average drone. Now, they are the size of cars, and like I said previously, people in the public can buy drones the size of cars, but where these drones differ is the fact that these drones are staying in the skies for hours.
Really low. It's loud.
It's really cute.
And it's huge.
It's so big. It looks so much closer in person.
Yeah, my camera doesn't do it. Looks like a spaceship, right?
So since these drones have characteristics that differ from what the public can use and what the public is aware of, that must mean that these drones are something else altogether.
Unless they're coming from mysterious drones in the night sky.
It's kind of unsettling. They're not up for 15 minutes, they're up for hours. Some are very big, probably the size of a car.
Mike Walsh says he's seen hundreds of them over the past 2 weeks from his Randolph backyard and has the video to prove it.
They kind of go slow, they come towards you, then they'll change direction a little. They're all going different ways.
The story of these drones went from being an annoyance to the residents of New Jersey to unnerving the residents in New Jersey, now becoming a much more serious problem. We are now getting news that these supposed drones, or these unidentified flying objects, these UFOs, because technically that's what they are to the public. And again, like I said in my last video, just because they are unidentified flying objects, that does not mean they have any relationship with aliens. But these unidentified flying objects are causing a real problem in the skies of New Jersey, in the airspace. A medical helicopter was headed to a scene of an accident in Branchburg Township in Somerset County on November 26 when 2 security guards from Raritan Valley Community College closed roads around the scene of the crash in preparation for the medevac helicopter to land and take an accident victim to the hospital. Well, the captain of the fire department contacted the college's security office at around 6:45 p.m., canceling the request for a helicopter landing zone due to the supposed drones flying in the area. So again, they went from being an annoyance in the skies to now jeopardizing people's lives. Because if this car crash victim needs a helicopter, that must mean they are in very bad shape. This is nothing less than an emergency. The supervisor of the security at the public college, Brian Surge, was quoted as saying, "We never found out what the actual drones were. It's kind of a mystery. We were asking around about that, but nobody knew anything." Same description is being used. People are saying that they are massive and they are hovering in the skies for hours. One woman saw a group of 5 of them. Now, it's unclear whether this patient went to the hospital by ambulance or the helicopter landed somewhere else, but the medevac team do not want a drone or a supposed drone the size of a car crashing into their helicopter. Now that these flying objects are causing a real problem in New Jersey, the residents of New Jersey are wondering why hasn't New Jersey's governor, Governor Murphy, come out and spoken about what the residents believe is a real drone problem. Reading this article from New Jersey 101.5, this person who created this article today, December 5th, even states that it was all fun and jokes until a car accident victim could not get medevac to the hospital because the unidentified drones forced the helicopter to cancel the flight. Now, again, this happened back on November 26th or November 27th, and these drones, or these supposed drones, have been all over the news, and New Jersey's governor still has not spoken out. Being a person who used to live in New Jersey, born and raised, I can tell you these medevac helicopters are vital to New Jersey's roads because those car crashes are absolutely wild. This article ends with, why has the governor not addressed this issue? Where are the New Jersey legislators? It's clear to me that someone knows something. I don't believe for a second that the FBI, the FAA, and Homeland Security don't know exactly what is going on. What is the secrecy? But here's the thing. It's not just New Jersey. We are also hearing news that these unidentified flying drones are also flying around military air bases. They are flying in very restricted airspace where there are F-22s and other very important equipment, and the military says, we are not going to bring them down. Now, I can understand completely that they want to be very cautious about these drones flying over residential New Jersey areas and not shoot them down because they can cause a lot of harm and a lot of damage to somebody or somebody's property. But like I've said in previous videos, you mean to tell me that the military will allow these unidentified drones to fly over military airspace, restricted airspace, and they're not going to take any action whatsoever, even though we are in high conflict time, a high conflict period with countries like China and Russia. Well, on top of everything else, with all these issues going on with these unidentified drones in different locations of the world, guess what news comes out? Space Launch Delta 45 emergency response exercises underway at Patrick, Cape Canaveral. This story came out on December 2nd, 2024, and I'm reading from Florida Today. And it says that the exercises don't pose a threat to the public. Well, why would they? That's a strange caption, but anyway, the article continues to say, don't be alarmed at sightings of emergency responders, military personnel, or simulated incidents near United States Space Force installations over the next few days. The emergency response and readiness exercises will be conducted at Patrick Space Force Base and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station through December 12th. The exercises, which are meant to test and improve Space Launch Delta 45's operations, will involve simulated launch-related incidents on or near the agency's installations. Not only will emergency responders be present, but military personnel will also be present as well. They go on to say that there will be no threat to the public and all safety precautions will be in place to ensure minimal disruption to surrounding areas. The activities are designed to test and improve operations that support national security requirements amid great power competition and evolving global threats. So again, this is just very interesting timing. Not only do we have all these sightings in the skies, but we have all these news stories coming out about these unidentified drones causing problems. And now we have Space Force conducting simulations involving emergency personnel and the military over a number of days, over multiple installations. And I feel like this is all leading up to something big, something massive. And we might be seeing now the beginnings of something like Project Bluebeam, the fall stage alien invasion. Now, I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice, and I'm going to say I bet next year, 2025, we're going to hear news reports come out that these drones are not actually man-made drones, but they are actually probes from a mothership. They have been slowly hyping us up about this mothership if you have not realized. There was this news story that recently came out about these unidentified flying drones seen over an Air Force base in Indiana. But along with these unidentified drones, people also said they saw this mothership. This mothership was also mentioned in a couple news stories. Also back in 2023, the Pentagon came out and said there could be a mothership lurking in our solar system while sending tiny probes down to Earth. And like I said, I bet you this is where these drones are going to originate. But make sure to exercise caution here because I know there are a lot of people that really want this to be aliens. And like I said, when it comes to the government being very open about the discussion of aliens and UFOs, we have to exercise a lot of caution because the closer and closer we get to the 2030 agenda, which is basically no different than the one world government, where every country around the world has to follow these policies, and these policies were not only laid out by the United Nations, but the World Economic Forum as well. We are just hearing more and more news and stories about unidentified flying objects in the skies. I mean, doesn't anybody find it interesting or question why every state within the United States, every city, has a 2040, 2030, 2035 long-range transportation plan, which is basically a smart city? But it's not just the United States. Almost every location around the world has these long-range transportation plans. They can be under different names, but they have the same agenda. or they're just called long-range transportation plans, but ultimately, these are smart cities. Russia has plans for them, China has plans for them, North Korea, South Korea. Basically, like I said, almost every country around the world has these long-range transportation plans. And the monies are being spent, the contracts are being signed. These are the real thing. Now, if you read up on some of these plans, especially here in the United States, you will understand that stores have to be removed, buildings have to be removed, homes have to be removed so they can basically build again and build these smart cities on top of these older locations. Well, how are they going to do so? Are they just going to ask everybody to leave? Are they going to force everybody off and then tell them to come back? Or are we going to see a global false flag on the level we've never seen before, involving aliens that are made in the lab using AI, holographics, and so forth? And while all this chaos is going on above the earth, we have these billionaires and millionaires living in their underground bunkers. I mean, it's just so obvious. The closer and closer we get to the 2030 agenda, the government, they become more open about the talks about UFOs and aliens, when before, prior to 2023, it was just a kooky, crazy conspiracy theory. Now, for whatever reason, they are very open about it. The whole hurricane conspiracy theory is all a part of this. When Hurricane Helene and Milton hit, there were all these news articles coming out. There was Biden coming out saying that the government, they are just not that tech savvy to manipulate the weather, to create hurricanes. They are not that smart. News media and the powers that be were goading the public into believing the government just do not have these capabilities, even though we've seen beforehand that they do. They were actually blaming China of having these capabilities, but all of a sudden, the government does not have the capabilities to manipulate the weather. And that was all put there. So when the false stage alien invasion does occur, they'll go ahead and say, well, the government, they don't have the technology to control the weather. And yet you're going to want us to believe that they can manipulate time and space and create these massive UFOs, these probes. This is just a well-timed scam. And if you don't believe me, and I'm not asking you to believe me, because this channel is all about theories. But if you don't believe me, just look at the timing of everything. Look at how everything played out in 2023 when the government started to become more open and take the talks of UFOs and aliens very seriously, to where we are heading with the 2030 agenda and everything in between. Just use your search engine to browse long-range transportation plan, and you will see that the contracts are already put in place in almost every location around the world to change the layout of the lands for these smart cities. And once you see that, you ask yourself, how are they going to do this? But